The first prophetic dream I got from God occurred in the summer, the year before the pandemic, 2019. I never reported it. I wasn't on TikTok. I had no one watching my YouTube videos. I wasn't sure if the dream was prophetic, and I didn't want to sound foolish. I am sorry. I will relate to you the entire dream. I have not forgotten it. I wrote it down to avoid speaking poorly. In the dream, my son and I were walking through a children's amusement park in southwestern Pennsylvania called Idlewild. We were walking past the kiddie rides, and I was reminiscing with him which rides he liked and rode when he was little. The tone of the dream changed drastically. An announcement was being broadcast throughout the park that every occupant of the park must immediately proceed to Old Idlewild to the main walkway. Park employees were to stop rides and abandon booths without shutting down or following normal procedures. Proceed at once to the main walkway. My son and I headed immediately to the pedestrian bridge that crosses the LoyalHannah Creek and into the main park area. There, park employees were spray painting circles on the asphalt. The announcement said, "Only one family per circle. Get into a circle. Do not leave your circle. Keep the circles 6 feet apart." My son and I took the first empty circle we came to and sat on the asphalt. Then the announcement was talking about a global event that was occurring. I tried to listen as hard as I could to see what the global event was. But in a circle near ours was a mom with kids. Her one young son was high needs. He was basically the younger version of my son. My son is autistic, ADHD, obsessive compulsive disorder, oppositional defiance disorder, and disruptive disorder, which I call interruptus allottimus. Her son was having a stress-induced meltdown. He wanted the frozen red and green drink he was just about to get when these announcements happened. I could see his mom was completely overwhelmed. Her son wasn't having a temper tantrum. He was having a nervous breakdown. I could not focus on these important announcements while this crisis that I understood so well was occurring so close to me. I turned to my older teenage son and said, "I can't hear the announcements over the kid crying. Stay here. I have to go get his drink." His mom can't leave the other kids. My son said, "I'd get in trouble." I said I'd accept that responsibility. I walked back across the LoyalHannah River. I found the food shack. The frozen drink machines were still running. I used napkins to get his cup and lid. I dispensed the red and green drink. I pulled one end of the straw wrapper off. I carried the drink back, handed it to the overwhelmed mom, saying, "I was careful not to touch any of this. It is for you to do with as you wish." To my great relief, she immediately handed it to the distressed child. I returned to my own son. But now the announcements had changed. They were explaining how they had to stagger our release to the parking lots so no one would go near anyone else, and so their driveway wouldn't become congested because people's cars might have open windows or vents. It was important that we weren't exposed to anyone's air. Then I was told, "You must go shopping now." A Walmart appeared in the park. I told my son, "I have to go shopping now." I got up and walked directly to the Walmart. The voice said, "There will be global supply chain shortages. You must now choose one item you don't want to run out of, and it will be protected. I said, well, everyone will want milk, bread, eggs, and toilet paper. I didn't hear what global event is happening. But even if it's nuclear war and my skin is damaged, I want to be able to shave. I want razors. Again, I must stop to apologize. In my defense, I would point out that most of us don't make the best choices in our dreams. I am pretty girly. Sorry. In the dream, I entered the store. I saw mobs of people fighting over eggs, milk, bread, and toilet paper. I walked away from them to the pharmacy end of the store. These creepy demon-like men saw me and started scurrying after me. I tried to hide from them. It was impossible. I reached the razor aisle and dove at the razors. But the creepy demon-like men dove in front of me. They took every razor. I woke up. I fully remembered the dream. I was shaken. My van had died from rust. The next time I got a ride to Walmart, I told my son, I had a scary dream about razors. I don't need any, but I need to go reassure myself that they are there. My son said, hurry up. I got to the razor aisle, confident that it was just a dream. The razor aisle was empty. My heart froze. I went into quality control mode. I checked every peg from front to back. I checked every bin. I checked the locked cabinet where the expensive razors would be. Men's, women's, every razor in the entire aisle was gone. This was a year before the pandemic. I got an employee. I asked where the razors were. She told me the aisle number. I said, there aren't any there. I was trying to sound calm. She escorted me to the empty aisle. She also was quite surprised. I was impressed that she was thorough enough to check pegs and bins. She shrugged her shoulders and said, wow, people must have just bought them all. I asked if she could see when they were coming in. She looked and said it didn't show any coming in. I thanked her. As we went to check out, my son complained heartily about how long that took. I tried to explain the dream, but he didn't hear a word of what I said over his own complaints. I returned home quite shaken. I thought that shopping trip was going to make me feel better about the dream. It only confirmed the dream. I thought, God certainly knows my need to test information. But surely he wouldn't think one test would satisfy me. Still, I embarked on a mission of attempting to buy PPE. I didn't know what I'd need, but at least wanted to make sure I had masks, gloves, and shoe covers for anyone coming into my house. I have a weak immune system, cancer, and about 16 other chronic illnesses. I called every pharmacy I could think of. Nothing. I looked up masks, gloves, and shoe covers on Amazon and eBay. Nothing. I called 3 medical supply stores in my area. Nothing. I called a couple of doctor's offices. They didn't know who ordered that stuff or where they got it. I called in-home healthcare companies. It was the same story. Oh, they had those things but had no idea where they came from or who ordered them. I even called a home health care worker I know. She offered to steal me a box. I said, go ahead. She never did it. I called the hospital. I asked to speak to their purchasing department. They didn't know that extension. I was well stocked on Lysol and Purell. By winter, we started hearing of a virus rampant in China. I started doing general PPE searches online. I found mass distributors of such things, but to order, you had to give your medical license that I don't have. And even then, the minimum quantity they would ship was in the hundreds. I go nowhere. 50 masks last me months. So I waited. When I got my son to listen to my dream, he said he would have never let me leave our circle. He truly is the kid in the other circle. I bided my time. I lost my ride to Walmart and was getting Walmart deliveries. I had a delivery scheduled one day in the spring when they broke into the news and declared the pandemic global on March 15th, 2020. Normally, the Walmart person brought the groceries into my kitchen. I met him at the door, wearing plastic gloves and holding my own stylus to sign his phone. I mentioned the pandemic. I explained my weak immune system. I told him, just leave the groceries on the porch. Assured him I would manage. Most people who see me in person recognize right away how frail I am. I let him pass his phone through the barely open storm door, and I signed. I threw away my gloves and cleaned the stylus. I waited 5 minutes for air to settle and carried all the groceries in and washed my hands thoroughly. I was not surprised. I was not surprised when schools and most public places closed. I thanked God for the warning. I am also convinced this pandemic will not end, and that new variants will appear faster than the vaccines. I have never had COVID. I still fully mask outside my house, where I live alone now. I also still am concerned that nuclear war may have been mentioned while that kid was crying, or that could have been part of my own imagination in the dream, but I'm not sure. I just couldn't hear over my concern for that kid. Again, I would like to apologize for not attempting to get the word out. I apologize for choosing razors. I don't know about your stores, but while everything else has sold out, razors have remained stocked. I'm sorry. I know if most people were asked by Almighty God which store item to protect, you would have chosen something more practical. I know most people abandoned shaving while quarantined. I'm sorry. That was my first prophetic dream from God. Now I recognize them when I get them. Each is startling and serious, but that was the only one that affected others. All the rest have been warnings for me personally. Now I know I sometimes get prophetic dreams. I have made a shocking 20 TikToks so far about them that I hopefully will be able to edit into videos to share here. Thank you for listening, because it does occur to me that God knows my need to test things. And if He's giving me prophecy after prophecy about things that affect me personally, He may have something else big that He wants me to share with you the next time He shares it with me. Let's hope not.